Here we go. It's markets in the morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including Bitcoin, the altcoin market, XRP price chart, and take a look over there at the stock market as it gets set to open here in the next minute. And then, of course, take a look over there at the US dollar currency index, metals, and any type of financial news or cryptocurrency news that is coming out as we get ready to start our day. Coming off of a wild Monday, we had some chaos over here in the cryptocurrency market, but the stock market actually had a pretty good day. You actually had the NASDAQ up over 1%, and you had the S&P up over 0.5%, and the Dow up about 0.25%, with yesterday with Tesla being up over 10% and Amazon being up over 3%, including Meta. So pretty good day over there in the stock market. Looks like we're going to have kind of a mixed day, more of a red start for the stock market. But of course, big thing being a big move up there for crypto after the chaos happening yesterday. So, everybody make it? Everybody survived yesterday? That was a fun day yesterday, if you could call it that. You could feel the extreme of the sentiment happening there in the market yesterday. I've already been recording a video all morning, talking about the crashing structure, talking about the completion of the crashing structure. I do believe that marked our bottom of what we did see yesterday. See it on small, medium, and larger time frames. That does indicate that very strong chance that was the bottom. And of course, look at that. Hey, what do you know? We end up holding a higher low happening in there. So we'll be doing lots of wave counts in the video that we're putting out today. But, we could still meander here for some time. The good news is that extreme feeling that you probably felt yesterday, you could sense it. Probably everybody felt that yesterday. I could see it over there on Twitter. I could see big popular accounts pointing about it. And so you could tell the people who have really been through this before, recognizing that they're feeling that feeling. And they were buying the dip in the midst of it all. I really liked what Ryan Selkis was posting yesterday. Just like, even I have not felt it like I feel it today, and I'm buying because it feels utterly horrendous and terrible to do it. I saw Tony Edward, Thinking Crypto, over there, posting positive stuff too, mentioning the same thing. And you could just sense it out there in the Twitter universe that was happening yesterday. But fortunately, markets bounced right out of there, and Bitcoin's now back above $26,000. So it has reclaimed everything that it did from yesterday, and a couple of days prior to that too. So good to see the price sitting there for Bitcoin. Essentially, I spending my whole time in there doing wave counts in here, getting us out of here, and then looking at bigger wave counts. All great stuff. Doesn't mean we're not going to be stuck here for a while. We very well could be. But that was a very good signature for a bottom to be right there. And we'll be talking about that in today's video. That'll hopefully be out about an hour after Markets in the Morning is over. But the good news is, of course, to continue holding that higher low to happen in there, to get a running flat happening in there, completion of crashing structure on a bigger time frame, on a smaller time frame, and then even on a smaller time frame that we got them all to come in there. So good stuff there for Bitcoin. Now we're just waiting for the market to kind of settled itself in, and for the altcoin market to wake up a little bit as expected, right? This dominance still going to hold here. This is the Bitcoin plus Ethereum plus USDT plus USDC dominance. It's going to still probably meander in here. It's been the thought in here. I could see Bitcoin dominance getting as high as 50.5% before it rolls over again a second time. But so be it. If people need to feel some confidence in Bitcoin, let's go. But glad to see these lows happening to hold. What a relief. And of course, in the thick of that moment, probably like a lot of you, it's very rare I'm on the 1 minute chart, but I knew where we were. I knew we were getting right down near to these supports. We had our crashing structure emerging in here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were back in it. It was time to watch and see if we could hold it here on the small time frames. We go in for 7, and bam, out and away we go. So great to see that on the smaller time frames, but of course we're going to talk about bigger time frames as well, where we have that going on in here. For Bitcoin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, boom. And then, of course, even on the bigger one, we all have it happening in here. So this is all great stuff. Now it's just a little bit of patience, but I do think that was it. And if you felt the extreme yesterday, did you feel it? Type it in the chat. Type yes. If you felt it yesterday, if it was like, oh, it just felt like a regular day. I don't think it felt like a regular day because I got so many text messages yesterday. So many of them of being like, ah. Yep. Look at all that. Everybody felt it yesterday. Yeah, and I saw people posting it over there on Twitter too. Big accounts who knew that feeling. That's that extreme feeling. And it's always so interesting to see how those can happen in very particular structures. And where do they happen, right? It's like we didn't break support. If anything, it's like perfect. It's like, hey, here we go. We're at support. Here we go. And you feel it. You feel it at the extreme, right? So great to see it pop out of there. And that's really all I have for markets in the morning in regards to Bitcoin. We'll dive deeper into all that stuff in the video that I've already been recording, and we'll hopefully have out about an hour after the completion of markets in the morning. So good day. Breathe that sigh of relief. At least I got all the things I wanted to see. So I'm feeling good about what we just saw. And yeah, I think the Bears are going to get left behind. But you do you. All right. Before we get in, of course, you guys can check out my website over here. This is bcbacker.com. You guys all know, over 40 videos, over 11 hours of content, diving into the crypto market, teaching you about all kinds of stuff, including the crashing structure, all in there, deep dived into here. bcbacker.com. Of course, you can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker or x.com. This is the only social media that I actively use, and this is the only handle that I have. Look for the blue check mark at bcbacker. I will never ask you to send me your crypto. As for XRP, still meandering in here. No new low has been set. Range is still continuing on in here. Not a lot to say until we can see some type of a break happen in here. Otherwise, still moving along. One thing with Bitcoin, we've talked about this for some time now, talking about it when it comes to like the cruel summer. Right there. As we can see, we've had no trading volume take place in this range. So the thing we talked about during the cruel summer would be to close out the volume profile happening in here. Let's go ahead and add the fixed volume range. That profile is definitely getting closed out, and you could see these last couple of days, where have we been working out? We've been working out that level with the lowest profile, right? Imagine like your extreme feelings. Imagine how that can happen on a chart, how your extreme feelings can happen in a market when you are literally on that point. That's yesterday, right? That's yesterday. There you go. So we've been on that point, working out, closing out that volume profile. In the coming weeks, I'll try to get a video of what the volume profile looked like when we started. It was all the way next to zero, just because that's just how it had worked out back in the past, that we had done literally nothing in this area. And what have we done? We have spent the whole summer closing out that volume profile. Look how thick it is in here now. It was like this the whole way through. So good to see that getting closed out. As for the Dow, it looks like it had kind of a rough start to open up. So we'll move over to the stock market here, of course, because broader markets are important. We'll see how we're opening. Coinbase opens up over 3%. It's the leader of the stock market this morning. The indexes, you got the Dow down 23 points. You've got the S&P down 9 points. You got the NASDAQ down 54. Again, the NASDAQ was up over 1% yesterday. The S&P was up over 2/3%. And then the NASDAQ was up over 1/4%. So it has not taken back everything that has happened yesterday. But it looks like it had kind of a rough opening, and then now it's kind of reclaimed some of it. Let's see if we can look at that. Yeah, there you go. There's your opening. It's moved back. Nothing indicating that it's ready to shoot out of there yet until it can at least take out where the opening price was in there. But all right, there you go for the Dow. Still, this is my thoughts until it sets some type of lower low to continue moving up. The 4.236 extension sits right there in the, let's put it on there. We'll put it on the chart. Right there. I think that's as high as we can go. Ironically, right, our little structure that we have in here and how we've been behaving in here, it does get us just right out to it. So I still think that's where we're heading, unless if we take out 33,600. If we take out 33,600, I'll be screaming the sky is falling, which isn't far. That's only right here. But otherwise, I think that's where we're heading, and I think that's what the excitement of the cryptocurrency market has in store of it ahead of it. But otherwise, nothing too big to say about markets today, as they are slightly pulled back coming off of yesterday's bigger green day. I think the nice thing to see in there is Coinbase, right? Coinbase up. Of course, that pertains to crypto as well. And then, of course, we got Bitcoin sitting up this morning. We got everything in green over here on the right side of the screen after yesterday's day. Of course, we'll take that. Now, tomorrow, we do have some economic news. Remember, there's usually two, in this day and age with macroeconomic stuff we've been going through. Of course, inflation has been the hot topic of everything. Inflation, and then that all pertains to the Fed making their decisions. So whenever we're having volatility in markets, it's typically surrounding those two events. Typically, it's going to be when the inflation data gets released, and then that week, those days leading up to and the days after the Fed meeting. So tomorrow, we're going to be getting our CPI data, or Consumer Price Index data, the measurement of inflation. It's expected that we will see 0.6% month over month increase in inflation. It's an interesting number because if you look for the last year, we haven't had any that are above 0.5%. So that would be our largest reading if we actually do end up getting a 0.6%. It's anticipated that the year over year inflation metric will be at 3.6% tomorrow when we get that reading. Now, I don't think that it's going to surprise the market in any way. Still anticipating there's a 93% chance that the Fed is going to be pausing next week on September 20th, which is next Wednesday, even with that information priced into the market. So that's what we're going to be seeing tomorrow. That's actually going to happen about an hour before markets open. So CPI data will be released 1 hour prior to markets opening. So when we come on here for markets in the morning, we'll either meet expectations and sing in Kumbaya, or there'll be a miss or an exceed, right? Either inflation will be less than expected, more than expected, right on. Either way, it's all going to happen before we come live. So when we come live, we'll be in the thick of it tomorrow morning when the markets do end up opening. And then that leads us to next Wednesday, which is going to be the Fed meeting. So we're now finally getting into that window where some macroeconomic data can start coming out. And so that's going to be inflation tomorrow, and then 1 week from that, Fed. And we'll live stream the Fed meeting as we always do. We'll see if there's any chaos. The last few ones have been relatively tame. Nothing too exciting has really come out of them just yet. Maybe that's going to be the catapult to finally get this thing moving. It's going to be the narrative to go with it. It's anticipated that the Fed is going to be pausing, right? 2 meetings ago, they paused, right? Then they did a rate hike. Now they're going to pause again. It's anticipated that they're going to pause. Is the market going to YOLO? Is there going to be some seriously dovish speaking that they're going to be kind of communicating that we're nearing the end of it? And will the market rally and YOLO into this? TXMC comes out with really good data. I talk to him almost daily on some of that data that comes out. And like when we look back to all these time periods of where these things happen and roll over, there does become this big retail YOLO of excitement when the Fed starts kind of changing direction or changing their behavior. So like if we go back in here in September, notice we're kind of breaking out. Everything's going on in here, right? But what's actually happening in here, right? In September of 2019 is where we're having the repo bailouts start, right? The Fed starts having to interfere with markets, right? And then Fed's interjecting, everybody's like the Fed's doing QE, but then the market all falls apart, right? So there's like this immediate moment of excitement happening in there. The story is also the same when you go back and you look at like the great financial crisis, in that, what you could see, and like I've talked with TXMC a lot to try to figure out, is there any confluences of something like this, because the distance that this is of being a 4.236 extension for the Dow Jones Industrial Average is similar to that of the Roaring '20s, which led to the Great Depression. This is how high we got right here. Right? You go back to all of this, this whole ride up, this is how high the roaring 20s got before the Great Depression started. It got right there, and then it crumbled. And that was the end of it. So what was the Fed doing, right? The Fed was in the thick of a hiking cycle similarly to this as we were getting in here. And so what actually didn't happen is there wasn't any type of rate cut that caused the YOLO. But we have in the last couple of times seen the rate cut happen and then YOLOing happening right here. And then the market completely falls apart on itself. So, we've been talking, me and TXMC have been talking, what could the narrative be, right? What would the narrative be like at something like this? What would be the thing that would, you have the most Googled recession in the history of all time. You have everybody on board that recession is going to happen. How do you convince them otherwise? How do you get them to throw all their money into the market at the very peak of it? And it's likely you think there's going to have to be a narrative. And if the Fed pauses, right, and then the Fed starts cutting, or people see it on the balance sheet that they're adding more to the balance sheet or something like that, just to keep our eyes open for that. I'm not going to fall for any of those types of narratives when they do come. The low alpha information people on Twitter will be screaming that money printer go burr, Fed's adding to their balance sheet. That historically is things that actually do happen at the peak, especially if we had like a rate cut. If we had one up here, it would be still a sign of absolute horror ahead. But the path to get there is a lot of excitement for the markets. So I don't know, random thought I wanted to throw out there. Should we get that type of excitement come after we get the Fed meeting next Wednesday? The narrative doesn't matter. It just doesn't. All right. Otherwise, looking at stocks now, Dow down 0.13%. Yesterday was up 0.25%. S&P down 0.19%, up yesterday 0.65%. NASDAQ down 0.26%. Yesterday up 1.18%. So a little bit of a pullback after yesterday's moves, but Coinbase still doing great. And then, of course, Bitcoin. Such beautiful, such good, such lovely. All right, moving along. DXY, US dollar currency index, still just humming along right here. Not a whole lot to say. I don't want to overdo it on DXY. We've talked about DXY a lot. It's not a topic I really care to talk too much about unless we're at a significant importance. And I think we've already covered it super in depth. I've put out a video on it. I've talked about it Markets in the Morning multiple times. You know where we are. We're back up here near there's extremes in here. This is where extremes do happen. Now just waiting for it to roll on over. Gold having a pullback happening this morning, down $13. Silver down with it too, down 11 cents at $22.96. Again, dominance, as we've talked about this, I still expect Bitcoin's in a moment similar to this right in here, as we are in here, likely getting back to about 5.5 or 50.5% before the roll continues happening on down for Bitcoin dominance. That the safety trade, the run for safety for Bitcoin, that time period is over. But not to be fooled, even if we do have a drift, if there is some YOLO time period for Bitcoin, that it could go back to the top once again in an ABC style, as we have seen that happen, I believe, 3 times, right? So this is the safety trade. The safety trade wears off. There's no more safety trade hunting for Bitcoin. Then eventually there becomes the YOLO. And that's what you have to understand about Bitcoin dominance, is it has 2 different aspects of it. One is the safety trade. Then it becomes the YOLO, right? And when that YOLO is going to happen, my suspicion is we're going to see it actually drift all the way back down to about 43, then probably the YOLO. But it could take a while to drift down there. All right, looking over there, Fed pause. Again, 93% chance that we're going to see the Fed pause. Overnight repos, we saw an uptick yesterday after a bigger fall the day prior, but let's look in on it a little bit. Zoomed. There you go. Yeah, there's your uptick. You can see we do have little upticks on the way down, but the trend is still continuing down. Money flooding into U.S. Treasuries likely. All right, looking at news, crypto news. CFTC commissioner plans to modernize investor protection with technology. Bitcoin price must take 26K, trader says, after textbook short squeeze. I don't think it was a short squeeze. I do think people sold the bottom. I think it's for sure. For sure. Even just by asking here in the chat, did you feel that yesterday, right? It's always important to, if you didn't document that, man, that was a good documentation moment. That's where those extremes happen, where you can document how you're feeling in that exact moment. those feelings don't go away. When I talk about like writing an emotional log, it's not because those feelings are going to go away. You will feel them again one day. But it's able to go back and look at it and see what they're like. And that's why I really like what Ryan Selkis was posting yesterday, because he knew it. That was Ryan Selkis. I have no doubt, by reading his tweets yesterday, no doubt a man who totally understands his feelings in the market, totally has a grip on it. I think he's absolutely a follow. He doesn't even post like technical charts, but he's got Masari reports, right? I was very impressed that he certainly gets it. Why is Ethereum price up today? Meta is building AI model. Okay, editor's choice. Bitcoin will bring global payments out of the fax era. Says an ex-PayPal boss. Okay, Binance's executive exodus. Okay, 10 years later, still no Bitcoin ETF, but who cares? That's how you should all be. Who cares? All right, CoinDesk. CoinDesk usually has nothing, man. How do these guys make money? Like, I don't get it. Coinbase Prime launches institutional-grade Web3 wallet. Is an altcoin crash coming? Binance says SEC's request for depositions is overbroad and unduly burdensome. Bitcoin price volatility correlation turns negative again as crypto traders eye the FTX liquidations. Man, you guys realize what's happening there, right? You're getting scared out at the bottom, thinking, I'm going to front run FTX because I'm smarter than them. Okay. Stock futures slide as oil prices rise. Oracle shares drop 10%. So we're looking at broader market news now. Taiwan chip giant TSMC. I didn't know a name similar to that. To invest up to $100 million in ARM IPO. SpaceX near monopoly on rocket launches is a huge concern. Like, I'm critical of Elon Musk when I need to, but I respect the man. He's crushed it, dude. Sending rockets to space, making Tesla vehicles that are self-driving, all that stuff. And he's pretty funny on Twitter sometimes, for sure. And I'm critical of him. Like, I'm calling him out. If he's oppressing speech on there, I'll call it out, which he does sometimes. They do. Hate it or love it. There is speech oppression on Twitter and X.com. But the dude has earned this, man. Like, SpaceX near monopoly of rocket launches, a huge concern. Like, dude, compete. Right? Compete. You've seen people like Bezos try to compete. The thing looks like a goofball tube. Right? What's the other one? Verizon. Right? That one was just an airplane that goes really high. I mean, the guy's crushed it, man. He's killed it. All right. Central bank set to keep rates higher for longer to fight inflation. Yeah, that's what they're telling us. I don't know. Today's the Apple iPhone 15 event, and it will tout an enhanced camera with a titanium finish. Whoa. You're telling me we're finally going to get an upgraded camera on the iPhone? How many years has it been? 1? And we've got titanium. Let's go. All right, there we go. We got some more green over here in the crypto market now. Look at that. Bitcoin now at 26,212. Let's go. All right, so there we go. That's what we have, guys, today. Bitcoin back at the support. Totally bounced out of there. You have crashing structures on 3 time frames. 1, 2, and then we even had it on the very small 1-minute time frame. Totally bounced right out of there. Super excited to see that. And supports hold. High or low, baby. All good things happening in here. Things to look forward to now. Just Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to suspect 50.5%. That's my guess. And then the thing rolls over again. That's what we've been talking about the last couple of days. And then looking for stock markets to rip as we have macro news coming out. Otherwise, I hope you're feeling better, man. I hope you survived yesterday. Dude, I hope you survived yesterday. Hope you didn't hit that magic sell button right at the bottom. I hope you didn't. All right, guys, let's hop into the chat. As we're now 25 minutes in here, maybe we'll get this one done pretty brief. I think everybody's probably feeling a little bit better today, and then I can go finish my video. Pat with the BCB memberships, my brother, thank you very much. Sick Thinker gifted 5 BCB memberships. Sick Thinker, thank you, sir. Both of you guys are huge supporters of the channel. 702 crew here every day. Thank you guys. Robert Paul, morning BCB. You mentioned a few coins that were showing exceptional weakness. How do you feel they stand now that some time has passed? I haven't gone through the altcoins this morning to see how they're doing. I know Ethereum took a nice bounce back. Ethereum back above 1600. I think the ones that were showing weakness were like Dot and Atom. Were those the ones that I mentioned yesterday? I haven't even looked at them today. Dot still weak, no big bounce. Again, nothing in the altcoin market's huge. Bitcoin Cash has been stronger than most altcoins. Have you guys noticed that? Where is Atom? 648. Yeah, I don't know. I'll look at those again soon. And then I'll have more for you tomorrow morning. Those haven't been my focus in the last 24 hours. It has been totally about catching the bottom of Bitcoin, which we got. I think we're good. Again, totally could be a pain trade sideways, guys. I think that's the bottom on each time frame. Each time frame, that's the bottom. And one thing that it kind of remembering with XRP, it's like that, right? I remember this. I remember this day. I remember all these people. So I get it all the time. You have to understand, like, how many people screamed at me this whole time, we're going to 20 cents, right? Like, no, that was it. That's your crashing structure. That's 7. And that's all it can take sometimes for 7. And you're done. No. Wow, guys, that one went wild, huh? Ding, ding, ding. All right. We're moving up in Bitcoin. Let's go look at Bitcoin again. That was exceptionally loud. Okay, here we go. Again, I do think it's going to stall. I don't think it's going to go in a straight line up. Scared me too. Yeah, everybody. Me too, man. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Either way. Okay. Crypt Keeper says, "Hola, senor. How's the volume profile look on XRP?" I don't know. Trying to think what chart we should use. I mean, the volume profile is going to be thick AF is what my thoughts are. I don't even check it because, like, when you look at things like when we've been looking at the volume profile for Bitcoin, it's been because we've known there was a volume inefficiency at that level that whole time, so we've paid attention to it. There's so much volume through here. I mean, there's just been so much trading happening through here. There's no areas in here that aren't highly traded. All of them. Like, the only places with little trading you're going to have are up. See? Your volume profiles are massive. The only way you're going to get to volume inefficiencies is going below 11 cents or up. Otherwise, everything is super mega volume. So, where are you right now? You're right on kind of a highly traded volume area. There you go. Back to Bitcoin. Are you doing something? Bitcoin, 26,300. There we go. We're alive, guys. I hope you made it yesterday. Okay. Champs is the name. Member for 4 months. Thanks, Pat, for the gifted membership yesterday. I forgot to mention it yesterday. BCB Uptember loading right now. Right. Uptember loading. Thank you, Champs. Member 4 months. He says thanks for the gifted membership yesterday. Man, has Pat taken care of you for 4 months? That's amazing. Amron Jeffrey. A scary day yesterday, guys. Glad we all made it through. Stay strong and stay long. Yeah, that was a wild day. Eric Martinson gifts 5 BCB memberships. Eric, thank you, sir. My man. Another 702 dude. Robert Paul, thank you, Eric. Here we go. Pat gifted one. Thanks, Pat. Mark Duval, XRP Binance 2015-2017 Fractal. Use 12.215 low, match to 12.16, 12.18.22 low. Back on track, +6 minus days in BCB. We trust you, demand. All right. Here we go. We're going to go to Binance. We'll go on the daily. He says use 12.215, right? 12.215. Here to 6.18.22. Okay. All right, we got to take this off log. Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. You didn't need all that. Right. Obviously, the discussion here, of course, is because you call that a desert crossing, or the accumulation here that we just pointed to, right? Number 7 hits that low, then creeps through here, breaks out. Now just fancy stuff happening in here as we bounced off there, and there's how much time you spend there. Don't know, sir. Mark Duval. I hope you're right. And if you do end up being right, sir, you're going to type in the chat on that day, say, hey, it was me. I was the one who said 6:15. I got it. And then we'll bring you on the channel. We'll give you an award, and we'll all love you. Thanks, Mark. Jeff Dubai, BCB. A lot of rumors out there that algo is dying. Can you give me your impression of the chart? Yeah, we brought it up. I've talked it up because algo, most of the market, right? If you go look at the developer reports, most of the market is in decline. The vast majority of the market is in decline in regards to development activity, even Bitcoin, even Ethereum, right? Year over year. It's unusual. Typically, we're going to see some type of at least holding the lines there for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. But you see it through the majority of the market. But the one that's just been screaming at me that I've shown in here is the developer abandonment of algo that took place months ago. So I went to Consensus 2023 in Austin, Texas back in April. And I watched the presentation. I started diving through all their data, and I shared it here. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but nobody's building on algo anymore. It's just being abandoned. And I was like, I'm not touching this thing with a 10-foot pole. And it has just been down. I think they used to have inflationary issues. I don't know if they do anymore. Let me see what the inflation of algo is. A to Z Algorand. Only 5.51% inflation. That's totally fine. That's totally in line. But I do believe it used to be higher. But it's completely like when you looked at like developer growth year over year, it was down 57% just back in April, which was crazy. And then like down even more. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. A to Z, Algorand. The year-over-year decline in full-time developers is it's down 63%, which is crazy. Just crazy. And down 39% for all developers, like part-time, one-time, all included. So that was the big warning sign to me. And that was kind of a lesson that kind of got learned a little bit there in 2021, was that the ones that went through like extreme developer decline were the ones that really, really struggled. And Algorand's was one of the ones that was just blaring of what is going on here? Why is everybody leaving? I don't talk to development teams. I don't talk to anything like that. If somebody has, maybe there's a reason for it, but it's crazy big. So I don't know, but I just don't track it because of that. And there just doesn't seem to be any interest in building on Algorand. According to developer activity reports. So, all right. But thank you, Jeff. Eric gifted 5 BCB memberships. Eric, thank you, sir. NEM chart, crashing structure to creek to spring. Should I use DXY, gold index with chart to problem solve? NEM. So that's new economy movement. I haven't had anybody request a new economy movement. I don't even know. Are they even on Twitter anymore? New economy movement was like top 10 of your 2017. And let's see, new economy movement. XEM. I remember they branched off and did something. I don't know if I think in 2021 they ended up doing an airdrop to Symbol, wasn't it? Symbol is what they went to, which was XYM, right? Anybody who held new economy movement got Symbol, and that seemed to be their major thing. I mean, there's probably very little liquidity in this thing. Is it on Binance? XEM Premium? Just one of those ones that doesn't show any type of strength within itself, right? Something that looks independent, or like it's dependent on the whole market. There's no real strength here within it on its own. Kind of one of those like degen plays of like, it's a super cheap coin. Will the narrative change? Will something come from it? Will there be YOLO in it? But outside of like the coin, I don't see anything unique in here. And I don't spend any time in here. So I probably have to spend a whole lot more time in it than just to eyeball it. But I don't see anything different here than the rest of the market. Jazz D. So what Jazz D asks is, he says, I need you to give me a full analysis of Wenmoon. But he worded it differently. He says, do you see alt season this year, 2024 or 2025? Can you give me a case for each? I'm exhausted waiting. What % do you think it will be this year? I hope we see something this year, Jazz. But I outline a lot of the conditions, either Bitcoin going into a retracement or it has to break into a new all-time high. Timing it's going to be very, very difficult. This is a when moon question, buddy. So the sooner you sell, the sooner we all go to moon. I present everything here for you. I show you the equity market. I show you the dollar. I show you Bitcoin, right? These things have to move, right? And they have to move on time. If the stock market moves at this velocity or something like that, gives you kind of an idea. And then we can see how the market's reacting then. Is Bitcoin pathetic and sad and it just gets up to like $38,000 as the Dow is hitting 4.236 and then the altcoin market only retraces back to the same level, right? That may be the extent of it. That's maybe all we get, right? We'll have to see. Right? I'm not a believer that the 4-year cycles are a thing. I'm not a believer that the block reward halving is a thing at all. This is the thing. So you tell me, buddy, when Moon? John. Gator gives 5. Gator, man, all his 702 crew guys. And Ryan, thank you guys. The 702 crew coming in strong. Thank you guys. John Schugert says, BCB, when you're right on Bitcoin price action at halving. I don't know what that means. What happens to Bitcoin in market when miners fall below profitable levels? BlackRock 51%. When you're right on Bitcoin price at the halving. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I get what he's saying. So my thoughts are that we're not gonna see price skyrocket like people want just because of the halving. What's interesting too is like Bitcoin centered analysis. None of them are screaming that you're going higher than 80K, guys, on Bitcoin, right? So if you're some major Bitcoin bull, Bitcoin's going to change my life and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Even that, because you know what, man? In 2019, everybody knows this is what I was looking for. I was looking for this big ride to a 4.236 extension. Never, ever in all of this, during the whole time, am I sitting here being like, yeah, I think 200K this time? That sounds about right. No way. The best theory people can come up with is this like 5.3 thing, right? 5.3x off the lows is kind of the repetitive thing. The biggest bull case that Bitcoin bulls can have for price to go skyrocketing, right? And then we'll get back to his question because he's asking about miners. Is that this is the completion of a super cycle and you're starting a new one. That you're actually like right here. Like that's your best case. Like, and even with yesterday's price action for Bitcoin, it doesn't invalidate the idea that that's where you could be. It doesn't. Now, my thoughts are Dow Jones is going to take control. Macro is going to take control, and that we're going to see the top of the stock market at some point, whether we set a new low now or we go hit the 4.236 extension. That's going to take control of it all because all of Bitcoin's bull runs have occurred during waves in Bitcoin, right? Or during waves in the Dow Jones and the stock market, right? New highs equal new bull runs for Bitcoin. New highs, new bull runs, new highs, new bull runs, right? What happens if this changes direction and goes that way? That doesn't, and the correlations of those breakouts, as you guys all know, like what happens when that changes, right? Anyway, the point being, for a super cycle theory for the Bitcoin bulls, I don't actually believe in the 5.3 thing either. I still am the super cycle. I think it's super cycles and it's measures of 4.236 extensions off of wave 4 consolidations. This was wave 4 consolidation in the broader bull run. I think the big mistake is that most people have equated this to being a bull run, this being a bull run, and then this being a bull run, and not equating that this whole thing in here was just this. It was right here. It's the final extension of wave 4. This is your consolidation, wave 4, 4.236 extension. This is your consolidation, wave 4, 4.236 extension. So your best case scenario is that you actually are in something like this, and all the price action to this point has mirrored it. However, breaking into the lows, no. You can't, breaking and setting a new low, no. There's no bull scenario at all for Bitcoin to go set a new low in here. It has never happened before. And that, of course, everybody points to this one. But this is not that scenario. This is not where we are. This is called recency bias. If you just look to the last one, this is recency bias. That would have also meant people used recency bias here for this one, which it wasn't. We didn't use it, right? So you have to understand the context of what this was, accepting that this was the end of this, and that you then go on into restarting, which we have. Price action has been the same in here. To go on and restart, you still have this. You can lean on this. You can create your content and be like, as long as we hold the lows, we're in a new super cycle, boys. You literally can, and I can't argue it. I can't be a dingus jerk about it because it's true. You can, but I do think that the macro will take center stage over it. But his question here is, but I don't think it has anything to do with halvings. It's just cycles of Bitcoin mixed with macro cycles at the exact same time. The halvings have been very lucky. But all Bitcoiners, right, they've got a different idea. They've got this like 70,000, and it's unfair for me to say all Bitcoiners. It's just the one I see on Twitter the most often. Otherwise, I don't see anybody posting price targets for new all-time highs for Bitcoin. Do you guys? I don't ever see it. I think there's utter nervousness of how high Bitcoin could go, considering it's already hit 69,000. I don't know. I'm rambling. His question is, what happens to miner profitability if Bitcoin doesn't go set a new all-time high and it rolls over and heads down here? Then he says, do you have a 51% attack by BlackRock? I don't know that to be true. And I know that Dylan LeClaire has done a pretty decent job trying to create videos and combat that over there on x.com in the case that, what happens if price goes here at the halving, and now price is way down here, and they get half their block rewards here. Lower price and half block rewards. Then you're going to have miners shutting off. Then, you increase network vulnerability, increase the probability of some type of 51% attack. I think you'd see the hash rate cut down, right? You see miners fall off. You see new miners come in. But I've thought about that too, especially this idea. What happens if you get all the way down to $3,000? What happens, man, to all those miners? Right? That's one of the reasons why it can't happen. People say it can't happen. I argue that the chart has behaved the way it's behaved regardless of what the miners need. It has still behaved precisely as it has. But yeah, I don't know if BlackRock's going to 51% attack Bitcoin. I don't know. But Ryan, thank you, man. Oscar Hernandez. But it's obviously, I see it too. I see what you're talking about. What are they going to do? It's going to be rough to be a miner. People have asked me on this channel, would you ever own mining stocks, Bitcoin mining stocks? No way. Your Bitcoin, okay. I don't think Bitcoin can ever go to zero, right? There's going to be a buyer at some point, but your mining stocks can. Your companies can go to zero. Your mining companies can go out of business and not be profitable and go to zero. I'd rather own Bitcoin than own a Bitcoin mining stock. Oscar, thank you. Oscar Hernandezas. If my crypto is on my ledger and Ledgers goes out of business, do I lose my crypto? No. And I know that the smart guys out there, there's ways to extract it, even if you're having a hard time with the software, with your keys. So there are workarounds that even if the software of Ledger stops, you can still access it with your seed phrase. Gareth Harwood. Sorry if you explained it before and or if I'm dumb, but for the halving to not be a thing, wouldn't demand have to half overnight? Okay, so I believe the way you're phrasing your question is that, right, the miners place downward sell pressure on Bitcoin every single day, right? Based on how much they mine, which is like, I think it's 900 Bitcoins per day, right? So after the halving, they will get about 450 Bitcoins per day, right? And so that's what will be used as the sell pressure. So his argument or his question is, well, if buyers remain constant, in other words, your DCAers, your long-term accumulators, if they remain constant, and if miners, if their sell pressure gets cut in half, wouldn't that push the price up, right? The question is, does this really represent all of the daily sell pressure, right? And will buyers remain constant in an environment like that? That's the thing. So it assumes that if the miner sell pressure does get cut in half, that buyer's pressure will remain constant. If all sell pressure remains constant, except this gets cut in half and then buyers remain constant, theoretically, it should rise, right? It should theoretically rise. But you have to assume all other elements in the same time. Will buyers remain constant? Are there other sellers besides miners? Oh no, I lost my stuff. And I don't think that that is really what happens. I think that it's macro. It's one big trade. It's just one big trade of macro. But thank you, Gareth. Akshar Patel, thank you very much. First timer. No message, but thank you. Thank you. Philip Mann says, cheers to the bottom, onward and upward. XRP, hope to see everyone at the proper party. All right, Phil, thank you, brother. And then Ashkar, again, no message, but dropped a bigger one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. All right, so there you have it, guys. A Bitcoin. I'll have a video out here pretty soon. It's not done recording and it's not done editing, so hopefully an hour and a half before it ends up getting released. But we'll talk all about the structures in here in regards to crashing structure on the bigger time frame, the smaller time frame, and even the smaller time frame, and that it has completed all of them, along with... Oh, here we go. Pawan Patel, I missed it. PTW looks out hardcore. He typed it in the chat. Akshar Patel, BCB, I love you. When can we get a workout in together? What does your calorie intake and gym routine look like? Also, can you make the case on why you think XRP will reach new all-time high before 2024? My theory, I'll address the XRP thing. It has to do with just Bitcoin retracing and the stock market, right? If this drags into 2024, right? If this drags into 2024, then maybe it's in the earlier part of 2024 that we end up getting it. But it's because I believe it's all one big macro trade. It's simple as that. And I don't think this thing is going to do that. I think it's going to do it much sooner. So, and that's the unsexily thing about talking like this, is just trying to present the reality of crypto, of how it moves with the markets. It's all one kind of big trade. And that's my thoughts. I think everything is going to move together, unrelated to the halving. Like, really, you look at this, you look at the structure of what's happening in here, and we don't know if it's going to follow this precisely, right? We just don't know. In this event, the next move was the break into the all-time high, right? In this, then for the stock market, the next move was the break into the all-time high. Don't know if it's going to do that, but that's what it did there. So you could, what events do we have coming up, right? We have inflation, we have the Fed who's going to pause. Is the Fed going to say, we're done, and then the world goes wild, right? Maybe. The market has priced in that they're done. So We'll see. As for your working out, what calorie intake and gym routine look like? So my calorie intake changes a lot. I'm actually doing a really bad job tracking my calories right now, but it's not because I'm like eating super bad. It's just I'm just not tracking them really. But I'm mindful of what I need to eat. Yesterday I ate 10 eggs for lunch, but only 4 of those had the yolks in them. 6 of them were egg whites. And I use fat-free cheese in that and eat them on like some nature's own wheat bread that's like 50 calories a slice. So I try to make mindful decisions about what I am eating when I do eat it. But I've tried lots of different things. I've tried like a 3,800 calorie diet to really stack on muscle. Then I've tried, 2,200 calories to try to shred fat. It feels like a constant ping pong yo-yo game, and I have not solved what the proper calories is for me. Otherwise, it's high intensity interval circuit training for me, 5 to 6 times per week, and that's it for about an hour. That's my workout routine. Yeah, fasting. I've been hearing about fasting too. I know people they're going to get 30 people in here saying, do fasting. Chain lifestyle. Oh, I haven't gotten you yet, Chain. Thank you. I had to get to Actually because he had typed it in the chat rather than in his super chat. Yeah, so you have to understand, guys, when I come on here and I haven't eaten, you don't want grumpy BCB. It's not fun for anybody. My family doesn't like it. You guys don't like it. Tim Van Hout, I live shredded all day, every day for years. BCB, give me a call, man. It's a disgrace. What's a disgrace? Okay. See on lifestyle, since your best case is a retrace to 50K-ish, what do you do if alts, especially XRP, doesn't explode during it and you see Bitcoin crashing? Well, what we see, it'd be that I'm going to remove 65% of my USD value from this market when Bitcoin goes into a retracement. I'll probably consolidate some stuff into things that I just have conviction in for a long-term ride. But it's possible. Jacob says, hey, did you already talk about Fortress getting bailed by Ripple? Well, I'm not there's very little news that happens on this channel. Right? Corey Lipston, whatever his name is, the guy from Swan. You couldn't write a better script for the way all that ended for him. Ripple is the one who's saves their day. Agato says, if what you're doing feels great, keep at it. Diet-wise, everyone has their own story about what works best for them, so we've each got to just keep trying to figure it out. Right, I have found the ping pong method of like, all right, I'm going to eat 3,800 calories now, or I'm only going to eat 2,200 calories. It's just not sustainable. I've got to find just working certain foods into my diet more. But it's hard for me to get big. Like what I want to be, right? Oscar Hernandez says, do banana tacos. I do eat a banana every day. Petey says, do you track your macros? Most of the time I do. Right now I'm not tracking, but yeah, I do. I use the MyFitnessPal app and track it. That's heaps of eggs. Yeah, that is a lot of eggs. But, I cut out most of the yolks, right? Tim Van Hout. Tim, DM me on Twitter, bro. I'll search for you. What's your Twitter handle? All right, guys. I think we're going to go ahead and start wrapping it up because now we're just kind of moving on into random stuff. There's 1,700 people in here. If you could give the video, the live stream a like. We bounced out of there. I'm going to get back to working on the video that I'm going to be releasing today. I hope you guys all survived that moment yesterday. Good signs have happened in here. It doesn't mean we're not going to continue in here for some time. But that definitely had all the capitulation signatures in here and mixed with the sentiment everywhere, right? I could feel that extreme in there. I could feel it. I could look over there on Twitter. I could see lots of people expressing that feeling of that extreme. We had all the markers there. And where do you get to? Support. Support. And you feel all the extremes, right? Sometimes when you get to that support and there's like extreme optimism and everybody's like, I'm buying. It's like, not here. This was people selling the support happening down in here. So good to see the bounce happen out of there. A nice green daily candle to shoot our way back out. There we go. Rock and roll. Higher low, still intact. LFG. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one, so I can get back to working on my video. I appreciate all of you for coming in here. Thank you very much for tuning in and being here and supporting every single day. I'm going to go through the outro if I can remember it. Here we go. Follow me over here on Twitter at BCBacker. Of course, check out my website, bcbacker.com. Learn about the crushing structure, learning about structures in here. We're going to talk about this one in depth in today's video once it gets released. 40 videos, 11 hours of content for your viewing pleasure right here on bcbacker.com. But all right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.